A computer processor, also known as a CPU, is the brain of a computer. It performs calculations and executes instructions, allowing the computer to run programs and complete tasks. A processor's core refers to the number of processing units it contains. Each core can handle a single instruction or task at a time. So, a processor with 2 cores can handle 2 instructions at once, while a processor with 4 cores can handle 4 instructions at once. This makes multitasking and running multiple programs simultaneously faster and more efficient. Processors come in different generations, with each new generation introducing improvements in speed, performance, and power efficiency. Some of the most popular processor generations include: first-generation processors. The first computer processor was the Intel 4004, released in 1971. It had a clock speed of 740 kHz and could perform 60,000 operations per second. Second-generation processors. The Intel 8008 and 8080 were introduced in the early 1970s, with clock speeds ranging from 200 kHz to 2 MHz. The 8086 was released in 1978 and became the first processor used in the IBM PC. Third-generation processors. The Intel 80286 was introduced in 1982 with a clock speed of 6 MHz. It was followed by the 80386 in 1985, which introduced 32-bit computing and improved performance. Fourth-generation processors. The Intel 80486 was released in 1989 and had a clock speed of 25 MHz. It was followed by the Pentium processor in 1993, which introduced superscalar architecture and could execute multiple instructions at once. Fifth-generation processors. The Pentium Pro was released in 1995, with clock speeds ranging from 150 MHz to 200 MHz. It was followed by the Pentium 2 and 3, which introduced MMX technology for improved multimedia performance. Sixth-generation processors. The Pentium 4 was released in 2000, with clock speeds ranging from 1.3 GHz to 3.8 GHz. It was followed by the Pentium M, which introduced improved power efficiency for use in laptops. Seventh-generation processors. The Intel Core series was introduced in 2006, with clock speeds ranging from 1.5 GHz to 3.7 GHz. It introduced multiple cores and hyperthreading technology for improved multitasking. Eighth-generation processors. The Intel Core i3, i5, and i7 series were introduced in 2011, with clock speeds ranging from 1.5 GHz to 4.2 GHz. They introduced improved power efficiency and integrated graphics. Ninth-generation processors. The Intel Core i9 series was introduced in 2017, with clock speeds ranging from 2.9 GHz to 5.0 GHz. It introduced up to 18 cores and improved gaming performance. 10th-generation processors. The Intel Core i3, i5, i7, and i9 series were updated in 2019, with clock speeds ranging from 1 GHz to 5.3 GHz. They introduced improved performance and power efficiency, and the i9 series introduced up to 10 cores. In addition to Intel, there are other processor manufacturers, such as AMD and ARM. 11th-generation processors. The Intel Core i3, i5, i7, and i9 series were updated again in 2020, with clock speeds ranging from 1.2 GHz to 5.3 GHz. They introduced improved performance and power efficiency, and the i9 series introduced up to 8 cores. Apple Silicon processors. Apple introduced its own custom processors, known as Apple Silicon, in 2020. These processors are based on ARM architecture and are used in the MacBook Air, MacBook Pro, and Mac Mini. They offer improved performance and power efficiency, and the M1 chip introduced up to 8 cores. When choosing a processor, it's important to consider factors such as clock speed, number of cores, and power efficiency. For basic tasks like web browsing and word processing, a lower-end processor with fewer cores may be sufficient. However, for more demanding tasks like video editing and gaming, a higher-end processor with more cores and higher clock speeds may be necessary. In conclusion, a computer processor is the brain of a computer that performs calculations and executes instructions. The core refers to the number of processing units a processor contains, with more cores allowing for faster multitasking and program execution. Processors come in different generations, with each new generation introducing improvements in speed, performance, and power efficiency. When choosing a processor, it's important to consider factors like clock speed, number of cores, and power efficiency to ensure it meets your specific needs.